Shota Aizawa, Eraserhead, the teacher of Class 1A, the man who's doubted his abilities, the man that knows his students are little devils, but if you get close to them, he will protect them. Or try to. Jokes aside, in this series, I'll be talking about the characters from My Hero Academia and before they were pro heroes, so their childhood or high school days. The first one starting off this is Eraserhead. Now, I'm Lamont, then let's get right into it. Majority of this I got from My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Again, not going to be talking about his pro hero time before the start of the series unless it gets enough requests. And here we go. In Shota's younger days, he doubted himself a lot, feeling his quirk wasn't powerful enough to be a battle hero. But Aizawa met some friends who would help him along his journey to be the hero who we see in the story today. And who are these friends? Hazashi Yamada, President Mike, who gave Shota his hero name because he couldn't think of one for himself, and Oboro Shirakuma, who gave Eraserhead his goggles, which I'll go into that a little bit later. But I said a minute ago, Aizawa was doubting himself so much that he felt he couldn't even save a cat from the rain, only leaving his umbrella behind to protect it from the rain, only to get his umbrella back from his boy, Oboro, with the cat, and pressing the class, excuse Oboro changing. He censored it by a cloud, and he also pulls the cat out of a cloud. Anyway, Aizawa was telling Kochi, who's the main character of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, he was telling Kochi about how the summer of his second year would begin to pick up for himself. Later, the future teacher wouldn't be assigned to do work studies or hero work, because he didn't find an agency along with Hazashi and Oboro. The three friends didn't have much time to worry about that, as they had to train to get better with their quirk. One day, in the midst of combat training or practicing with a classmate, he sells Shota out better than a Mariah Carey concert, saying his quirk is useless and he's weak, leading to Aizawa complaining to his friends that the other student was right. But 10 seconds later, he takes care of a kitten the proper way, saving it from human food that Oboro was going to feed it. To cheer up Aizawa, Oboro tells his friend that his quirk is a great support quirk that could really help, even saying he wants to start an agency with Aizawa and Hazashi. Then boom, there's Lady Midnight, and what she says is her costume and what I would say her Victoria's Secret line for a certain time. But anyway, after them going back and forth, she steals the kitten, running away with it and literally naming it Sushi. Yes, they named a cat Sushi. The next day, Numeri comes back and tells Oboro and Aizawa that her agency will take them on since President Mike was already part of one. Now let's transition to their first outing. Oh, before I get to that, Midnight was surprised to find out her costume got banned and made a whole new law. Oh yeah, and then Oboro seems to be a little simpy for Midnight, but I mean, he's a high school kid, can you really blame him? But back on the first mission, there was a robbery going on, having Midnight breaking through the window. Following behind her was Loud Cloud. Even that wasn't enough, as the villain still fled, but right behind was Eraserhead, chasing him. Aizawa didn't know the villain had a smoke quirk that ended up blinding the young student. In that moment, the robber threw a washing machine or something, but right in the nick of time, Prince saves the day. I promise this is canon, a credible source, Viz Media. Soon after Prince, or His Purple Highness, saves Eraserhead, he ridicules him for not smiling. Later on, Oboro gives Aizawa his goggles, so his friend's eyes don't get blinded by the smoke next time, which ended up working. They saw the villain again, or the robber, and caught him. So after they went back to school, the student that made fun of Aizawa before, Shin Shoji, noticed Shota was wearing goggles like him, calling the future teacher a copycat, getting so angry by it that he tried fighting Oboro and Aizawa at the same time during the training matches, obviously losing. Days after the occurrence or the event, Oboro and Aizawa were taking kids to school. After that, they were chatting it up, and Loud Cloud told Aizawa he'd be a good teacher, saying because he's so observant and caring from seeing how Shota was with the kids. But unfortunately, it wasn't going to be an easy day. You see, the terrible drawing of a dinosaur you made in first grade started attacking the city with a quirk that stockpiles power after he's hit with them. Later on, after all the heroes fought, there was only one left, and it was Eraserhead, who was nervous at the start and didn't know what to do. But then Loud Cloud over his speaker said, "You've got this, Aizawa." Oboro, who kept cheering on Aizawa the whole entire fight, but right before, Eraserhead did a roar to prove that he's getting pumped, he's ready to fight until the very end, dodging the creature's attack, attacking when he sees opening, using kicks, punches, his quirk, but not without getting knocked down a couple times. He does land a few good hits, but then Eraserhead outsmarts the villain, using his own attack on him, with Oboro still cheering him on until, finally, Eraserhead came out victorious, beating the colossal villain all on his own, with no help from any other hero, maybe Oboro. After defeating the villain, he falls to the ground of exhaustion, saying to himself, I did it, and then one time to Shirokuma saying, I did it. After everything went down, after more heroes arrived, after the police got there, after everyone was too late, before worrying about himself, Aizawa asked about Oboro. Then Senshoji picks up Oboro's speaker saying it was broken, and that the whole fight, Aizawa was only imagining everything, cause it was a do or die situation, which happens sometimes, but after that, Aizawa turns and sees a bloodied sheet over his best friend, but not him, in a medic bed, realizing that his best friend who helped him get confidence in himself, his best friend who helped him get a better idea of who he is, Oboro, who was supposed to start an agency with Eraserhead in present night town.
It's such a shame our friendship had to end. Purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. I only wanted to.
All the memories of Oboro and Aizawa hit the young student all at one time. You can see the doubt begin to come back to him as he probably thinks to himself, maybe I can't save anyone if I can't even save my best friend. The more you look at these panels, the more you can see the pain and hurt in Shota's eyes, the hurt in his face. You can see that he lost a friend today. You can even see on Hazashi's trying to smile through the pain, trying to be strong for his friend Aizawa. Midnight offering Aizawa to get under the umbrella to not catch a cold, but Hazashi's reply was, no, the rain suits our mood right now. The 4 seasons went by since that incident happened, or a year went by, and a lot's changed for Aizawa since that day, meaning the young student trained himself so much that he started bringing a sleeping bag to school to rest. Now we know why he's always sleeping. He trained so hard he can even beat Senshoji just by brute force alone. But they don't seem to dislike each other anymore. Aizawa gave him some pointers. Later we see Eraserhead training with his teacher saying he's got confidence now, but his grades are still average. Soon after that, Shota's teacher speaks with him as he changed what he wants to do after school from having an agency to being an independent hero. Just more after effects since that incident happened that day. Anyway, this shocks the teacher, even trying to change Aizawa's mind on it, obviously failing. So graduation comes and he's a pro hero, an underground pro hero at that. And with that ends before they were a hero for Aizawa. This is a very sad backstory for a fan favorite. He suffered. You can tell he misses his friend, incorporating a lot of what Oboro told him. 2 things, like he can be a teacher, which now he is a teacher. Kinda, I guess you could say, He sleeps on the job a little bit, but, who doesn't? And he still wears goggles, like Oboro suggested to him. They changed it a little bit so people can't see his eyes, but he still wears them. Then he doesn't make an agency, or at least not yet. I hope you like this and you managed to find enjoyment, because I really enjoyed making this and I can't wait to make the next one. And I also enjoyed learning all these things about him. He's an interesting character with a sad backstory, but with a well-lit adulthood or adult life, with his students, his friends, protecting them, knowing them, training them, even being an announcer despite his lack of enthusiasm. And I don't know how I forgot her, but he also has Eri now, who he trains and helps use her quirk as well. Try to check out the story yourself because it's really good, and just so you can just go to those chapters and read those, it's chapter 60 to 65 of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which you can find on Viz Media or any other place that has mangas probably. And the next hero I'm going to be talking about is I don't know. You'll find out when I find out. Also, one thing, if Viz Media or Situation or anybody doesn't like the way this was presented and wants to take it down, just contact me and let me know, and I'll be glad to change the video up so I don't get a strike. Right. Then also a shout out to everyone that let me use their music in this video, and links to all their YouTubes and everything will be in the description below. Shout out to them. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you like this, then like this, and on that note, it's about time for me to space out of here.